The news cameras zoomed in. Her face was a mess of snot and tears as the lottery clerk repeated, "Ma'am, this isn't a valid ticket." In that moment of pure public humiliation, her phone buzzed. It was a text from me. "Check your email." To understand how we ended up there, you need to know one thing about my ex-fiancée, Sarah. She was beautiful in a way that makes you willfully ignore red flags. She had the kind of smile that could talk its way out of anything. But behind that smile there was always a calculator, tallying up what she could extract from me before I broke. For 3 years I was the definition of a provider. My name is Marcus, and I'm an engineer. I made good money. Sarah, however, had her heart set on more. I paid the lease on her Mercedes. I funded a $6,000 Pilates instructor certification that she attended for 3 days. I even paid for her therapist. I was building a life. She was building an exit strategy. It all started small, with her phone. One day, the passcode I knew no longer worked. Then came the late-night calls. She'd slip out into the garage, her voice a hushed whisper. I'd find her leaning against her Mercedes, breathless, when she came back inside. "It's just my mom," she'd say, not meeting my eyes. Her mom passed away in 2018. I'm not the kind of guy who snoops, but when you're engaged and share a cloud account, the lines blur. I was searching for a Best Buy receipt for our tax filings. I typed receipt into the shared drive search bar. What popped up wasn't for a television. It was a folder labeled Future. My heart hammered. I thought I'd find wedding inspiration, maybe honeymoon ideas. Instead, the folder was filled with screenshots. Dozens of Zillow listings for high-rise condos in Miami, all sent to a guy named Jax. Jax. What kind of a name is Jax? But what I discovered next made my blood run cold. Digital forensics is a hobby of mine. I started digging, and the picture that emerged was darker than I could have ever imagined. Jax wasn't just some side piece. He was her escape plan. Sarah was planning to leave me immediately after our wedding. She'd been pushing me for months to add a specific infidelity clause to our prenup. I thought it was for her protection. It turns out she was planning to frame me. She had text messages with Jax detailing how she was going to plant drug paraphernalia in my car, then call the cops herself. This would trigger the clause, allowing her to take half of my assets. And then came the line. The one thing that turned my grief into ice-cold rage. She was going to use the fake drug charge to ensure she got full custody of our dog, Buster. She was going to steal my dog. That was it. Take my money? Humiliating, but I'd recover. Take my dignity? Painful, but I could rebuild it. But you do not take my dog. Confrontation gives the enemy time to build their defenses. I wasn't going to give her that. Instead, I decided to become the architect of her reality. Phase 1 was psychological warfare. I control our entire smart home ecosystem. I sat down at my computer and wrote a simple script. Every night between 2 and 4 a.m., the temperature in our bedroom would plummet to a chilling 58 degrees for exactly 12 minutes, then spike to a suffocating 85 degrees for another 7. It was just enough to completely destroy her REM cycle, without ever fully waking her up. Within a week, she looked haggard. Dark circles formed under her eyes like bruises. "I'm just so tired all the time," she'd complain over breakfast. "Maybe it's just the stress of the wedding," I'd reply, my voice dripping with fake sympathy as I handed her a fresh cup of coffee that I had secretly replaced with decaf 3 weeks prior. She was sleep-deprived and caffeine withdrawn. But I was just getting started. I used a burner laptop to log into her social media accounts. I started meticulously curating her algorithm. I had her profile, like, follow, and engage with the most bizarre content imaginable. Flat Earth theory forums, radical ant-eating cults, conspiracy videos about heavy metals and makeup causing premature aging. Her feed, once a curated stream of influencers and luxury travel, became a digital nightmare of paranoia. It worked better than I expected. She stopped wearing foundation because she was convinced it was shrinking her pineal gland. She was a ghost in our own home, terrified of her own face, and too exhausted to question why. Phase 2 was the financial squeeze. Her escape plan, Jax, was a self-proclaimed crypto visionary. In reality, he was an unemployed 20-something living in his mom's basement in Tampa. Sarah was funneling him money from our joint account, disguising the transfers as wedding deposits for flowers and catering. I could have just stopped the transfers, but that was too simple. I wanted to dismantle her escape route piece by piece. I didn't stop the money. I redirected it. I spent an afternoon creating a shell company and a phishing website that was a perfect mirror of the crypto exchange Jax used. I sent him an email, promising a free NFT airdrop from a popular project. He clicked the link without a moment's hesitation. It was embarrassingly easy. The second he entered his information, I had his wallet keys. I drained everything. It wasn't much, maybe $4,000 in some ridiculous shitcoin called Elon Cumrocket, but it was everything he had. Then for good measure, I sent him a follow-up email, spoofed to look like it was from the FBI, informing him that his IP address had been flagged for international money laundering. Jax panicked. He ghosted her instantly, blocked her number, deleted his social media, and vanished back into the digital ether. Sarah was frantic. I watched her from the kitchen as she paced back and forth, crying into her phone, leaving desperate voicemails. "He's just gone," she whispered, her back to me. "Who's gone, babe?" I asked, calmly buttering a piece of toast. She spun around, her eyes wide with panic. The florist," she stammered. "He died." I took a bite of my toast. "Tragic," I said, my voice flat. "Do we get the deposit back?" Phase 3 was the masterstroke, the grand finale. I needed her to expose her true nature, to show the world the greedy, hollow person she was so vividly that even her own family would have no choice but to turn on her. I went online and ordered a custom-made, high-quality fake lottery ticket. It was perfect, the right paper stock, the right texture, indistinguishable from the real thing. I looked up the winning numbers for the recent $140 million Powerball jackpot and had them printed on my fake ticket. That Saturday night, we were on the couch, watching some mindless reality show. I reached into my wallet, pulled out the ticket, and tossed it on the coffee table. "Oh, I forgot I even bought this," I mumbled. "Could you check the numbers for me?" She let out an annoyed sigh, annoyed that I was interrupting her show. She pulled up the lottery app on her phone. Her eyes scanned the screen, then the ticket, then back to the screen. Her whole body went rigid. Her eyes widened. The scream she let out wasn't one of joy. It was primal, a raw, guttural sound of pure avarice. "We won. Marcus. Oh my God, we won." She tackled me on the couch, kissing me with a passion I hadn't felt since our first month together. "We're rich. We can do anything we want," she yelled, her voice cracking. "Yeah," I said, playing the role of the stunned, happy fool. "I guess we can." The next 24 hours were a masterclass in human greed. She didn't talk about helping family or donating to charity. She immediately started making a list of upgrades. "We need a new house, a real house," she declared, "and I need a new car. The Mercedes is basic now." The word "we" was used a lot, but her eyes were distant, already living in a future that didn't include me. The next morning, she sat me down at the kitchen table. Her face was serious, a mask of feigned concern. "Marcus," she began, taking my hand. "I've been thinking. With this much money, things get complicated. There are taxes, liability issues. My dad knows this incredible lawyer who says it's much safer if we claim the ticket solely in my name. It's because of your student loans. I have $5,000 in student loans. The jackpot was $140 million. I stared at her, letting the silence hang in the air. "Really?" I asked softly. "You think that's the best plan?" "It's for us, baby," she said, squeezing my hand, her eyes pleading. "I just want to protect our future." I nodded slowly. I told her to sign the back of the ticket. Her hand was shaking with excitement as she scribbled her name with a flourish. Sarah Jenkins. She stood up from the table. And just like that, the mask didn't just slip. She ripped it off and threw it on the ground. "Listen, Marcus," she said, her voice turning cold and sharp, a tone I'd never heard before. "I wasn't going to do this today, but since the universe has so clearly chosen me, I can't marry you." I just blinked, feigning shock. "What? We're just different people," she said, reciting a script she'd clearly practiced. "I've outgrown this. I've outgrown you. And if I'm being honest, I never really loved you. You were safe, comfortable, but I don't need safe anymore. I have money now." She held up the signed lottery ticket like a trophy. "I'm taking this, and I'm leaving. Don't even think about trying to fight me for it." I signed it. Possession is 9/10 of the law. She walked into the bedroom and 10 minutes later emerged with a packed bag. She unclipped her engagement ring and threw it on the counter. It clattered loudly in the silent room. "Sell it," she said with a sneer. "Buy yourself some therapy." And with that, she walked out the door, got into the Mercedes I paid for, and sped away. I waited exactly 10 minutes. Then I poured myself a bourbon, sat down on the couch and called her dad. "Hey Bill," I said, my voice filled with worry. "It's Marcus. Something's wrong with Sarah. She just left. She seemed manic. She has this crazy idea that she won the lottery." "Yeah," she said, "she was heading to your place. I think she might need some help."